Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses as we continue with Part 7, The Glory of the Lord from the Ways of the Lonely Ones, by Manly P. Hall. A buzzing, droning hum seemed to beat upon the air as Jehovah descended and hung as a gleaming globe of fire between the wings of the cherubim. The glory of the Lord. Already the shadows of evening had descended and gathered in purple clouds in the valleys and over the great plains that stretched out to the foot of the lofty mountains, while the pale glimmer of a waning moon shone faintly over the edge of the hills. Amidst the shadows of the plains, a few lights gleamed dully in the evening air, while the night seemed thrilled with a hazy crimson glow. It is hard for man's mind to form pictures of the past, but to those who think all things are possible, and the mystic can build again with the powers of imagination the great encampment at the base of the sacred mountain. Stretched over the plain, row upon row, the tents of the Israelites showed faintly in the dim shadows, while the tabernacle in the center was outlined by the crimson cloud which floated over its holy place, the Shekinah glory, the presence of the Lord. Already the children of Israel, the chosen people of the world, had wandered long in the wilderness, but bivouacked for the night, the roving hearts seemed to rest at last under the purple mantle of the enclosing hills. Down among the tents, where the 12 tribes slept, all was silence and darkness, except where a tiny light gleamed from a tent formed of the skins of animals, a rude covering which seemed to shelter but a single inmate. Inside of the rough and none too secure structure sat a Jewish youth. On his face was a look of great expectancy, and his heart was aflutter in his breast. This youth was about to set out on his great adventure. As he sat waiting for the moment of safety, he tried to exonerate himself and prove the worthiness of his cause to a heart which, in spite of himself and his desires, whispered that all was not well. Why, he thought, should I not be as worthy as another to enter the holy place? Long have I and my people followed the orders of the priest. For years we have wandered in the wilderness, and I do not see that we have gained any great result. I myself will enter the holy place of the Most High, and there will listen to the words of my God, if in truth a God be there, which oft times I doubt. Thus he reasoned out in his own mind and in his own humble way the workings of God and the plan of human destiny. What right have the priests to say that all cannot enter the presence of God, that all men are not truly equal, and that they, being priests, are chosen? He asked himself. If we are all the children of God and Jehovah guides and guards us all, why may we not all know him and enter his presence unafraid? At least I shall do so in spite of priests or punishment. So saying, he rose silently, and slipping out from his frail shelter, crept among the tents, his bare feet making no sound on the soft earth. At last the gloomy walls of the tabernacle enclosure loomed before him, the great curtains hanging from posts that gleamed dully with their golden plates. Noiselessly he stole along the side walls like a ghost, until at last he reached the entrance of the first court, and there, in spite of himself, he hesitated. Before him was visible the altar of burnt offerings, its corners adorned with the horns of bulls and of rams. Even in the partial moonlight he could see the dark stains upon the altar where but a few days before had been offered up the firstborn of the flock. The staves were still in their loops. As he stopped for an instant beside the altar, a peculiar feeling came over him. He almost feared to go on. It seemed that hands were holding him back, and that into his ears lips whispered words of warning. But with the thoughtlessness of youth, he shook them all off and passed like a silent spectre through the darkened courtyard. Before him another mystic shape arose, and by the pale light of the Shekinah glory, which flickered in rosy shadows over the ark and its coverings, the youth saw before him the laver of purification which glittered faintly, its sides encrusted with the mirrors of the women of the 12 tribes of Israel. He thought the mighty bowl tried to move out of its way to stay his progress, but he steadily continued on his way. Then the tent of the tabernacle itself, shrouded beneath its many coverings, arose before him. A great oppression weighed upon the adventurer's heart. It seemed that a wall had been built between him and this sacred place. But with a mighty effort, flinging off the fingers of negation, the youth raised the blue and crimson curtain and entered the holy place. The first room of the tabernacle was aglow with a soft light shed from the mighty candlestick whose 7 branches, with their dimly gleaming oil lamps and the 77 blossoms twined around their golden pillars, rose far above the head of the youth and seemed to fill the entire chamber with warmth and power. Standing uncertain, he gazed in admiration and awe at the furnishings of this mystic apartment. Across the room from the candlestick stood the table with the shewbread, a thin pencil of incense smoke still rising from the crest of one of the stacks of loaves. Before him was the altar of burnt incense, where an offering acceptable to the Most High burned eternally in the dish of chased gold. From the heavy coverings of the wall, the faces of numberless cherubs gazed down upon the scene, while among the rafters and draperies of the peaked roof, strange forms seemed to shape themselves in the incense patterns that hovered near the ceiling. The soft sand beneath the adventurer's feet seemed to reel and sway dizzily while the youth kneeled in prayer, overcome in spite of himself by a power unexplainable. But he resolved to persevere to the end. Slowly and unsteady, he tottered towards the veil behind the misty folds of which Jehovah dwelt. Reaching the curtain, he hesitated for an instant more, then quickly drawing it aside, he half stumbled into the Holy of Holies. When the curtain fell again behind him, he realized that he was in utter darkness. Not even a glow from the candlestick entered here. Staring into the gloom, he saw a strange shape outline itself faintly in crimson-tinted phosphorescent light. He knew well the shape, the mighty chest, on it the kneeling cherubim, between whose outstretched wings dwelt the Spirit of the Lord. In spite of himself, he fell again on his knees in adoration, overcome by the strange sense of majesty and sanctity which filled the apartment. As he knelt, he suddenly beheld a thin stream of blue light shoot like an electric spark between the kneeling cherubim and the onyx stones pendant around their necks. A strange, crackling, spitting sound broke the silence, and the room was illuminated by lurid flashes. Uttering a frenzied cry, the youth sought to escape, but the power of motion had left him. With his breath coming in short gasps, his heart nearly bursting within him, he was forced to watch a scene ineffable. Gradually, the Ark of the Covenant was shrouded in a rosy, golden light. Each ray seemed thrilled, and instead of being merely a man-made box, this sacred chest seemed a living receptacle of ever-changing fire. A great billowy cloud appeared over the mercy seat. This cloud grew denser and denser until it nearly obscured the plate of solid gold which marked the resting place of the Spirit of Jehovah. Then, dimly, through this pillar of haze, there descended a globe of orange light which resembled the copper of the setting sun, a mass of gleaming fire. From the great fiery globe there poured 2 streams of wing-like light which swayed and fluttered among the clouds. The youth's face was colored by the copper light, and his sighs almost burst from their sockets. Slowly this great globe of light descended, filling the entire room with a resplendent glory, while from it poured showers of living sparks. A buzzing, droning hum beat upon the air as Jehovah descended and hung a gleaming globe of fire between the wings of the cherubim. At the same instant, a voice spoke from the midst of the globe of light, a thunderous voice which shook and thrilled the very walls until they seemed ready to collapse. "Wouldst thou speak to Jehovah, Lord God of Israel?" "No, no," screamed the youth, "but one thing I ask thee, God, give me strength to leave thy presence." Again the voice thundered from between the cherubim, and a hand, formed out of living light, reached from the globe of flame. "No, no," cried the youth as the hand beckoned him to come forward. "I dare not. If thou darest not meet thy God, why camest thou here?" spoke the voice from the mercy seat. "O God, I know not," sobbed the youth, gazing down for the first time. From head to foot he was mass of flame. He sought to flee but could not move. He sought to cry, but his lips no longer spoke. He could only look at the shooting flames which, coming from the globe, bathed him in a fire that burned to his very soul. By degrees he sank to the ground, his eyes still fastened on the wondrous winged globe of shining light, which never quiet, never still, an eternal seething mass of colored radiance played back and forth, up and down, between the wings of the kneeling cherubim, whose many heads all faced the Spirit of Jehovah. Little by little the lights faded. In a blaze of glory, the Spirit of God with his trailing wings of silver light rose through the ceiling, leaving behind his empty throne. Darkness again filled the Holy of Holies, and no sound broke the silence of Israel's sleep, save murmuring voices of the night. The next morning, the high priest, in his linen robes, entered the temple of his Lord. And there, dead at the foot of the altar, lay the body of a Jewish youth. The flesh was burned, and its garments had been scorched and singed. As the priest bowed before the ark to ask humbly the reason of this, a voice spoke from between the onyx stones. But the room was no longer filled with the dazzling light. Only a mellow radiance enveloped the priest. The globe no longer shed a fiery brilliance, but only a soft flame which illumined and glorified the noble face of God's messenger among men. As the high priest knelt in prayer, the voice spoke again, no longer in thundering tones, but rather with tender and musical cadence. Behold the one who hath violated the sacredness of the tabernacle. Behold one who hath entered the Holy of Holies without purification. Call the children of Israel, the children of the 12 tribes, whom I have led out of the land of darkness. Carry this body to the gates of the tabernacle, and speak unto them the words which I shall say for thee. Think not of what thou art to speak, for Jehovah the Lord God of Israel will speak to his children through thee this day. The priest bowed, his snowy beard touching the fine linen of his robes, and rising he went forth, calling unto the priests of the tabernacle. They gathered the children of the 12 tribes, and laying the body on a litter, the priests came out with it from the porch of the holy place. And robed in the garments of glory, the high priest spoke unto them the words of Jehovah, the Lord God of Israel. Behold one who hath profaned the tabernacle. Behold one who would speak with his God uncleansed, and behold the vengeance of the Lord. Know ye not this is hallowed ground whereon ye tread? Know ye not that this is the temple of the living God? Therefore, if ye know, sanctify yourselves according to the laws of Moses. If ye know not, hear now the word of your God. Behold the altar of burnt offerings. On this altar must ye make the living sacrifice of your bodies, which are acceptable in mine eyes. Hath ye not seen the laver of purification? In this laver must ye bathe not the body, but the spirit and the soul. Ye shall be cleansed in my living water. Behold the tables of the shewbread, whereon ye offer up the loaves of your works, which I must leaven. Behold the candlestick made as I have ordered, but ye must make the 7 lights to shine with the glory of your own oil. Behold the altar of burnt incense, where daily thy words are offered up to the glory of thy Lord. Only then, when ye have cleansed your bodies and your souls, may ye enter the presence of your Lord and Master. Only then can you bow before my glory. For I, the Lord God of Israel, am a great light and a consuming fire. For the pure of heart I light the way, but forever I burn the impure. And if ye enter into my presence unpurified, I will burn ye, and will leave but ashes and stone. But if ye be purified after the laws of Moses and Aaron, I will illumine your souls and be a light unto your feet. My golden light is for the pure of heart, and my crimson fire is for the dross. So it is written in the law which I gave unto the children of men amidst the clouds of Sinai. Only the pure of heart shall see the God of Israel and live. And behold, this is my living tabernacle, where I have made my pact with the children of men. Behold, this is my high priest, who standeth between me and the children of my heart. For were it not for him and the shining jewels upon his breast, I could speak unto my children, but as a consuming fire, see and know the price to be paid by one who sought his God without following the laws that he hath set, who sought to enter into the sacred place without the light of his own purified soul. Know that the Lord God of Israel hath spoken in the hearts of men, and will protect ye under the shelter of his wings. But seek not to behold his face, nor to know his way, until ye have garbed yourselves in the garments of purification, and have brought the blood of your offerings to sprinkle on the mercy seat. Jehovah, the Lord God of Israel, hath spoken. Let it be heard. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.